Greetings friends and welcome to the Lightning Ability Guide. Take after the likes of Count Dooku and the Emperor from Star Wars, even McGrath from Infamous, and start blasting your enemies with lightning. Okay, sweet. So let's go ahead. We're going to choose a blank puppet, nice basic one. And I think the first thing we're going to do is actually design our lightning. So let's go ahead to paint mode. We're going to want to choose our fleck type. And for that, I think you can really go with whatever you feel. I think straight is quite a nice one, just so that you have a bit of a, I guess it kind of just works. Really, whatever is your fancy. Get a nice yellow there, and then just kind of make it a bit small. And I would go to tools, and then I would say rule flex, so that the lightning's got a bit of like a straightness to it. You know what I mean? It's got a bit of the pew, pew. And then, yeah, I suppose there's that. Alright, and don't worry if it looks a bit too straight, because the next thing we're going to do is edit it a little bit. We're going to go to fleck properties, and we're going to go impasto and make that pretty high. So this gives it a bit more of a 3D look. So you see it's already a bit more rough, a bit more intense. Then we can go ruffle, and however much you want to do that. So you see, although it already started as like a kind of straight thing, it's already got a bit more of an energetic, crazy look. And you can mess around with these features and see whatever works best for you. Next thing we're going to want to do is to turn up the glow, because of course we're dealing with lightning here. So we give it a nice bit of a glow there. Alrighty. There are a great deal of things you can do with this. You can experiment with cloning and all sorts of things, but what I like to do is to give it that nice lightning-y feel is to go to the section on effects, and this very special one, which is hand-drawn animation, which you don't actually know about. You know about all these effects, but this is a bit of a secret one. Hand-drawn animation gives it a bit of a, if you guys have watched Ed, Edd and Eddy, one of those classic cartoons, it gives it just a little bit of movement. So you set that on something like 20, and then you turn the playback speed on a lot higher, and it gives it a really, you can mess around with this, whatever works for you, you know. It gives it a nice, you know, little bit of a jitter to it. So that's pretty cool. We're already halfway to making our lightning come to life. And then we kind of just clone it a little bit, change the size of it, change the direction, change the rotation, and we get ourselves a nice little shock going. You can make this blue if you want, you know, if you're going for that, like that evil Star Warsy lightning, or you can go for red if you're going for that evil McGrath kind of Infamous vibe. If anyone even remembers that game, classic, one of my faves. Yeah, whatever works for you, friends. You can rotate it, and you can go nuts, and you can shoot it off in random directions. Yeah, it's really up to you. Then we'll group these chaps all together. We'll group these all together. Make sure you haven't selected the floor and so on. And you'll group them together. Alrighty. Then now we've got our lightning. I think it looks pretty cool. We can make it a little bit bigger. Yo, this is going to be intense. Wow, crazy lightning. And it's so easy. Paint is such a great tool. Okay, next let's get to the turning it into an ability sort of section. And like all of these things, it's good to start with a nice microchip. We're going to put it here. I'm just going to name it LT for lightning, or you can call it shock, or you know, zap, whatever you feel. Oops, I didn't save it there. Call it LT for lightning. Then in our lightning ability, we're going to add the good old-fashioned keyframe, which is just what our person will do when we're casting the ability. As we know, this is a classic. Another maniacal head twist. Ha ha ha. Crazy evil lightning. Take this, Luke Skywalker. You know, that kind of a vibe. Okay. Then next we're going to put down our personal favorite, the emitter. Oops. And the emitter is not going to shoot something out. It's going to do it at 0 speed. And it's going to get funky here, but bear with me. Okay, so we're going to do rotation speed, and we can make this something super high. Then we can rotate that when it comes. But first we're just going to quickly actually select what we're going to emit. We'll scope out and we'll choose our lightning. That's what we want to emit. So we can turn this. This is the rotation that I'm messing with now. So you turn the rotation. So what this does is when you zap them with the lightning or you shoot the lightning out, it doesn't stay in one spot, it kind of moves. It gives it this dynamic sort of vibe. But you can set the movement to 0. Now in emit mode, we're going to emit continuously. So as you hold down the button, the lightning is going to keep pouring out. And you're going to change the time to 0.2. Okay? Then you're going to have emitted object lifetime. You're going to make this 0.3. So in other words, you're going to make it just like a tenth of a second longer than the actual time between emits. And just trust me on that. Trust me on that. It is an essential thing to do. To have this 1 second difference. Don't make them the same. If you make them the same, it'll give it this kind of jittery effect, and it'll like mess with your eyes, and it kind of looks a bit choppy. So that 0.1 of a second difference is very important. Okay, but don't take my word for it. Let's see if it actually works. And actually, let's throw on a good old-fashioned force apply, which is just nice and easy. We'll make it cylindrical, a nice cylinder, and it'll just blast this wall back. Remember for your wall that it's important to set its physical properties to movable, and for it to be the object of it to be a label. Then for your force apply, you're going to have that it doesn't affect friends, but it does affect objects. Alright? And then you're going to go to your sculpture and make sure, or your puppet, and make sure that he's a friend. Okay, now we're going to set a key to activate all of these things, and let's make it our good old-fashioned R1. You don't have to link it to everything individually, you can just link it to the microchip, but I just like to do this for the sake of it. Alright, so let's see what happens here. So you see now we've got a pretty nice thing, because what it's doing is as you turn, the lightning still gets shot out. And it's giving you this crazy blast of lightning, which is pretty awesome. Okay, let's try that again. So here we have our lightning, friends. I think it looks pretty great. It's not very powerful at the moment. I didn't set the force applier specifically, but you can make it whatever you want and just have a great time. And I like the settings that I've got at the moment, because you can run around and you can keep blasting the lightning, which I feel like is a pretty cool part. Friends, if that is all you need, then I'm pretty good with that. So one thing I'm going to show you is what happens if you change the emitted object lifetime to be the same as the time between emits. I'll show you what happens there. You see, it does a bit of, if this is cool for you, then it works. But for me, I found it creates quite like a flashy effect, and it kind of just hurts my eyes. So really, it depends whatever works for you. I prefer to just give it that slight increase in time between emits, so that there's just a bit more of a smoothness to that animation. You see here, there's not that much of a flashy effect. So I think this is the way to go. But yes, friends, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this worked for you. And I'll catch you guys in the flip-flop. Peace out.